public, whether it's a hazard, whether it's a condition. I'll be going through some of those here, but just to share as much information about winter operations as we can, and hence that's part of today's even meetings and discussions. So we also move through in our, let me wait for the slide decks to catch up here or I overstep them. All right. Also on our public facing websites, for those that are unaware, we do have points of contact for our operations. So if you're looking to get in touch with certain stations, certain sections of roadway, our points of contact are all out there on our web pages, and advertise. Feel free to call us. We try to advertise our hours of service. Also, you'll be seeing some things with our roadway responsibilities are obviously out there, and various other information. We're trying to communicate the best we can, obviously through 511. I think everybody's aware of that, both summer and winter. But as we move into winter, it becomes more critical, I'll say, for maintenance and operations. We will be the main communicator on 511, I think, during the winter operations, because our construction projects slowly shut down. So you'll see less notices from them, but we will be updating information more frequently. We try to publish information twice daily for road reports, both morning and evening. The purpose of that is just to make sure that we are advertising accurate information to the public, and the public has, I'll say, a sense of reliability to our publications to say we know when it was last updated, and we can expect those driving conditions if we're doing long line driving or wherever they may be traveling that day. We do put out alerts and notices on 511. We try to get those up as quickly as possible. So look for those. Again, if you don't see them, please sometimes call our points of contact, call our local representatives, because sometimes we find out things from the public first. We try to get those up. We try to verify them as quickly as possible. We'll usually have crews en route once we hear those reports. So we do appreciate comms from the public or from other agencies if they find something we're not seeing. We also have new features on our 511, which you'll probably hear about a little bit from other presentations later on, but I don't want to steal any of their thunder, of course, but I got to have a little bit as well. So, we're trying to publish other things on there. We're updating 511 with additional features, and I'll say kind of weather radars on there now. And a couple other functions, putting up our RWIS cameras, these kind of things, so you can actually review roadway conditions, provided it's not dark. It's got to be daytime, but you can see those pictures on there well. So it's a great resource. We're trying to continue to invest in the platform, just so we can have all information included there. As I said, we also have our public-facing winter priority map. This is a great resource to many, just to look up roadway responsibility, see whose roadways are the state of Alaska's responsibility here, and our goals and priorities. I think everybody's familiar with the priority kind of 1 through 5 system we got. We do state response times that we're trying to meet for winter operations there. I'll be going through some of our challenges with meeting those, but also going through some, I guess I'll say, solutions we're finding or things we're investing in to hopefully meet these priorities, published here as our goals throughout the state. So I'm not sure why it's not fully. Sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought I was doing up here. I'm like, wow, this is changing without me. I appreciate that. Can you go back one slide then? I think. Yeah. So this is actually Be Prepared slide. Sorry if the title's not correct. But Be Prepared. What this is we have a maintenance decision support system within DOT. And what this does for us is this is collecting all the weather data across Alaska. It's including smaller RWIS sites, local home information, National Weather Service information, etc. And it's being ran through algorithms and forecasting our roadway weather information. It's given us basically rates of storm, expectation of storm precipitation, whether it's rain or snow, the amounts, the accumulations, the time frames, etc. And this is a statewide resource that we have. And it's something that we use I'll say almost daily during winter months to gauge our operations and monitor weather. I will say maintenance and operations, I think, lives and dies by weather. I've heard it said around our break room so many times, it's kind of just ingrained in me now to make those statements into the public. So, but this basically be prepared is we watch weather systems all the time, and we're looking at, you'll hear about some of our new technologies, is investing in ongoing winter maintenance systems or weather data. So we're looking for more information on that, because the more accurate information we can have, the better we can plan for upcoming events. Next slide. Sorry. Just doing that. So also we do have, like I said, prioritization of our roadways and response efforts. Shown here, we respond during to primarily our priority 1, 2s, and 3 routes in that order. We do take into account efficiency of plowing operations though too. And what I mean by that is we do establish plow routes for our operators. So that way, when a storm does hit, we got plow routes that they're sent to deliver service on. Sometimes in the public, we get questions, why did you service a road level 3 before or at the same time of a road level 1? Sometimes that's done for efficiency and just in plow route when they're turning around, looping around, doing plow routes. We try to base everything on right-hand turns. It's the most efficient method of travel, et cetera, et cetera. So if you see some things that are out of norm out there, I think that's what you're most likely seeing with regards to plowing a different priority in a different way. We're trying to capture efficiency there. Also, if we're out that end of a long line roadway, we're going to hit all the roads while we're out there, not just the ones. So we may over deliver some service at times, but that's more for our plow route efficiencies. And that's done across the regions, and our plow routes vary in complexity depending upon community, depending upon station locations and the roadways that they're responsible for, the crews are responsible for. Next slide, please. I wanted to speak to our position vacancy real quick, and really I just wanted to compare from 24 to 25, basically where we were at the Snow Summit this last year versus where we're at now. I kind of color coded this. I don't really want to focus on the percentages necessarily, and I'll speak to them on the next slide a little bit. But as you can see, the green's highlighted as improvements. So we're reducing vacancy. We have more operators in those locations. So you can see in quite a few areas, we're looking to be in a better condition than we were last fall. We do have one location, and I guess I'll say, I didn't memorize that, but it looks like in Southeast, we do have a location. I'm sorry, I can't read it off then, but anyway, that we have it reduced there a little bit. And if it's just left white, we're pretty much at the same vacancy level that we had last year. So next slide, please. So here's kind of where I was speaking to a little bit of the numbers with regards to vacancy. We are seeing on average right now across the state, we've got about a 14% vacancy rate when we're looking at equipment operators. That is still high according to our statistical averages. Normally we run about a 7 or 8% vacancy, so we're still higher than we'd like to be. We do have some areas of increased vacancy or localized vacancy of 50 to 60% of our staff, so we're only half staffed in some locations. A lot of that is in our rural locations, out in smaller communities, those kind of things, not as much population to draw candidates from, or don't have the operators in those locations. That's a challenge for us in there. I'll say another thing that impacts us is our mechanic vacancy. You know, with maintenance and operations, those that work in the field, we have primarily 3 things that we need to deliver service. It's our employees, it's our equipment, and then it's our commodities. In other words, salt, sands, those kind of things. So right now, we're running about a 22% vacancy in our SCF mechanic fleet, which does hinder some of our ability to have equipment ready for storms, but I'll go over that here in a moment. They do have some isolated vacancy of 40 to 45% in different stations as well. So next slide, please. So what are we doing to kind of combat, I guess I'll say, our vacancy rate? We're focusing on recruitment. We've made a great efforts in this area. We continue to have challenges, but we're really focused on advertising in all the locations we have. We've done some additional efforts, looking for our referrals from our unions, hitting Workplace Alaska, which is our advertising platform for positions, hitting social media, job fairs, flyers, etc. Also, we're our own best recruitment effort. I tell my operators every day, if you like working here, if you like the crews you work with, you think that's a good job in your community, please spread that word. Please teach our young kids, hey, there's job opportunities here. If you want it, come in, advertise that. And I say for everybody across the field, keep that up if you can in your local communities. We're also trying to emphasize our training availability with regard to, we've been doing some progressive level equipment operator positions. So in other words, flex positions, so that you can enter a lower experience level position. We can train you and you can grow within our program, within our department. We've been really focused on that. We've got CDL training programs. We can actually have you enter into a position with the department now where you don't qualify for running all of the equipment, but we'll put you through CDL school, get your CDL license, and then continue to train you to be able to run all of our equipment. So we're trying to up the ante with regards to our training. We do have apprenticeship programs. And then we're also trying to advertise that we've got career growth potentials within our department. In other words, you can start out at the, I will say at the bottom, maybe a laborer, and you can work your way all the way through our organization. And we continue to try to work on our position management to get that full progression there. And then we're trying to emphasize that we are a department of growth within maintenance and operations. Next slide, please. What are we doing to keep employees? So part of recruitment is also retention. Now we got to retain them if we get them. So we're trying to really emphasize, we got flexible schedules. We're everywhere in Alaska. So we got remote location jobs. Also, if you want to visit remote locations, we're willing to send you. You get unique work assignments, those kind of things. We do get paid leave and holidays. And we try to emphasize work-life balance. You have peak hours where you're required to work because the storm's here. There's other times where you're still required to work, but you might be able to get leave time when the storm's not around. So we're really trying to emphasize those things that we can offer as a department and as an agency to keep people within our ranks. So next slide, please. So as I said, I was going to move through some challenges that we're seeing as well. For those, we have different kind of challenges at our airports versus our highways. I wanted to touch on airports real quick. Basically, a lot of our airport challenges come from the remote nature of them. We utilize contractors at primarily probably 90% of our airports. We call them RAM contractors, rural airport contractors. So in other words, we're hiring locals within the community, teaching them how to run our equipment, and they are maintaining our runways throughout the winter. We do provide training and those kind of things, but it is getting tougher in the rural communities just to find those applicants. So the other thing too is we're working with electricians. We're doing a remote contracting for electricians to help service our lights. That's a little bit expensive at times, but lighting systems are extremely important to us. So we're utilizing those resources and contracting as well. We're also utilizing emergency lighting systems. When we do have lights go out, we got emergency systems to deploy just for medevac purposes and to sustain, emergency response. Next slide, please. And then some highway challenges we're facing. Again, kind of went over position vacancy. Obviously, all of us know if you don't have a position in the seat, obviously it's hard to run the plow truck. So that's going to impact our operations. Basically, you've heard Commissioner Anderson say storm severity is changing. Rains, different winds, different forecasts for snowfalls, those kind of things are challenging us each year. But we're looking at facing those with basically looking at some of our mitigators on here are some of our overtime schedules we're doing. We're doing schedule changes. So we're trying to work guys 2 on 2 off schedules, 1 by 1 schedules, these kind of things, which help provide operators more around the clock. It also provides operators that are off the clock that can be called in to go to work during storm events. We can also move them around. It's called sharing across our districts, across our regions, and moving resources to where the storm is at. So we're really focused on becoming more nimble to respond to these. We're also working on contractor winter maintenance options. And I'm proud to report we got contract winter maintenance support in all regions right now. We've got our contracts out and ready for service. They're a little bit different between regions. Some of them are focused on highways, some of them are focused on pedestrians routes, but it's really where our need is and that where we can't deliver the service or meet the expectations. We've heard it loud and clear for priority 3 and 4 roadways that we need to provide additional service. So that's where our contractor support is focused. I know in both Fairbanks and Anchorage primarily based. So we're also working now on contracting out potentially some equipment maintenance to support. We're just starting into those efforts now because you've heard that we have equipment mechanic vacancy. So now we're looking for contractor support there, and we'll be working for that through this winter. So next slide, please.
There are questions, Jason. So I'm going to start with some of the online questions because they may be things you're thinking about. So lightning round though, we got to go fast like a bunny. Okay, so the hiring freeze.
Yes.
Does that apply to the operator positions?
At this time, it does not. We got a blanket waiver for hiring operators. We got that about a month ago. Did slow us down a little bit in summer, but we were able to work with the commissioner's office and the governor's office, and we were able to hire all equipment operator positions.
Okay, and the other one I'll probably take for the most part, but
Great.
they asked about the previous snow summits. We did talk about winter road priorities and what we're doing to review and make changes to those over time. Jason and others, if they give a 2022 legislative intent report we did, said it was 2017, 2018 that we started that process.
Yep.
And I'll just say the functional classification study that's going on, which is reviewing the use of certain roads and classifying them. It's a requirement every census, and that is the final stage is happening here as we transition to a new year. So by 2026, that'll be in there. Those new updated functional classifications, and that's really important for our highway performance monitoring system with the feds that reports on condition and use. So just yes, the next update really is hinging on those functional classification study being finalized and adopted.
The maintenance doesn't set those, but we utilize that in setting our performance targets. So we're waiting for those updates to come through, and then we'll be reviewing those.
Is there any question in the room before we move on to our next item? Shannon?
If people online have questions, they can put it right into the Q&A feature. We will leave those out.
Right. So that they can hear it on the Q&A feature in there, they can put the question, and we will, if we do not get to it verbally, we will get back to it in writing. So we'll put an FAQ on the Snow Summit website to send out. So someone.
Yes, I'm with the borough, and we deal with the road service areas, and a lot of times our contractors will beat you guys to the roads, or those that intersect with the state roads, and then you guys plow them in. Is there something is there schedules that we can relay that information to our contractors? Hey, do these interior roads and give you guys a little more time to get that main road plowed so that we're not having to go back again and clean up intersections.
Yeah, I've heard that comment a lot. We deal with the city, we deal with everybody, because we all got our different priorities.
Right.
We can have further discussions offline about that to see if we can improve those efforts. We also try to make sure if we're second somewhere, we do try to clean up when we're running through. Sometimes it doesn't occur though until we get back to a cleanup action.
Right.
We run with plow trucks first because it's the most long lines we can hit. That unfortunately just casts snow. We'll do it when we do our cleanup efforts. That's when we're hitting all the approaches and addressing those issues. And that interim period is where we hear from the public and complaints and those kind of things. So.
And the winter operations dashboard that's trying to get more real-time information.
Right, that's what
not in that
I
direction.
thought information on 5.1 might be helpful.
So,
Yeah,
well,
great.
to keep on schedule, I'm gonna move to Dom online. If you do have additional questions on this one, put it in writing or something. I can obviously get back to you.
Thanks everyone for
So I think we have Dom, I'm contemplating here, available to go ahead and try that. I see him on screen. Let's see if we can also hear him.
Hey, Andy. Can you hear me?
We hear you great. Go for it, Dom.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dom Panone. I'm the Director of Program Management and Administration for the department. I work for the Commissioner, and my division manages the budget and finances. And my role is to support the maintenance and operation chiefs like Mr. Sakalaskis in making sure they have the funding to do what they do. And of course, funding's a big driver of how M&O looks to the public and how our maintenance looks. It affects the age of our equipment, how new our equipment is, how much equipment we have at each maintenance station. It affects how much road treatment chemicals and commodities that we have available or that we can stockpile. So the funding, it affects everything, and overtime and staffing levels and things like that. So today I'll just outline where our budget's at and what actions occurred in the last legislative session, and then how we're responding to those this year and going forward. Share my screen. And so last session, when the budget was moving through the legislative process, the legislature made some cuts to our budget, and there were two significant cuts totaling a $5.2 million reduction. So the cuts were predicated on two concepts. One was that Central Region had a mild winter and that the department would see a savings from that, and that we could carry that savings forward. The other cut was predicated upon an assumption that we could not replace our equipment that's out there on the road, the heavy equipment, the plows, everything, the graders, things like that, if we just held on to them longer and kept them longer. And neither of those assumptions turned out to be to come to fruition. We did not have a significant savings in Central Region that yielded money. We had no carry forward. We also have been extending the life of our equipment and our equipment fleet since 2017, and have already taken budget reductions to keep equipment longer. So these things were already things we were doing, and really there was not a savings. So as a department, we had to look at, well, if those aren't realizable savings, and we took the cut, and these were cuts that the legislature did, the governor can't veto these cuts. So these are just reductions to funding. We're looking at reorganizing our admin structures and our support structures, and minimizing the impact to the operators and the folks out on the roads, keeping the public safe. So we're doing things like holding administrative positions open. We are, Northern Region filling the director with another director position. And we're looking at other efficiencies where we can shift costs, like IT costs, to other places, and those kinds of efficiencies. So we're looking at everything. The significance of these cuts is it's a 6% reduction in our UGF funds, our unrestricted general funds. And the significance is these are the funds where we can do anything we want with. So whatever the need is of the public, we can spend these funds for that road maintenance. Unrestricted general funds and motor fuel tax make up about 80% of our highways and aviation maintenance budget. And then about 15% is preventative maintenance federal dollars. And those dollars are very restrictive. So we can only do certain activities with those dollars. So these UGF cuts are significant because these are the most flexible dollars we have to purchase equipment, supplies, and pay for overtime for our staff, things like that. So by region, I've got it broken out here on these tables. Central Region's about a 4.1% reduction in maintenance and operations. Northern Region 2.9% overall, and then South Coast has a 3.3% reduction. So again, we continue to try to shift any costs we can away from the maintenance and operation budgets to preserve that service. And we're also using things like our other appropriations. We have a specific funding pot for contracting out those lower priority roads that Mr. Sakalaskis has been very good at using that resource and getting that benefit to the public. So I think, Andy, that's kind of the report out on what's happened with our budget. We're going to continue to work with the legislature, and happy to take any questions on what's been presented.
Thank you, Dom. Do we have any questions in the room on this slide? Again, it's pretty straightforward. But if there's any questions, we can take them now, or we can move on to our next, which is the National Weather Service and a look back, look forward. I see no hands up here. Anything online? Nope. Okay, we are going to move on. Thank you, Dom, for that update. I appreciate it. All right. on the screen, we see Carter. And Carter was gracious enough to join us again with the federal government shutdown. I wasn't sure what capabilities and capacity they have. They very graciously lent us Carter today. Carter, I'm sure, can give us about a 10-minute update or so of what the weather looked like this last year and what it looks like going forward in the next year. That was really interesting reviewing some of the slides. Carter, if you're ready.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, everybody. My name is Carter McKay. I'm a meteorologist at the National Weather Service in Fairbanks, Alaska. Today's presentation, we're going to go over the winter outlook and variability. So what we saw last winter, what we're expecting this winter, and what are the big signals that we're seeing going forward. So looking back at last year, we did see a more ENSO neutral pattern, which is a difference there between our ENSO Pacific. So we have our El Niños, our La Niñas, and those can be different associations when it comes to different weather patterns up here in Alaska. So this is kind of what we were looking back on and how did we do. So these were our outlooks that were issued back in last October for last winter. And overall, it was maybe favoring above normal temperatures further north, below further south, and best chances for above normal precipitation further northwest as drier conditions prevail further southeast. And how did we perform? So overall, across the board for last winter, it was a mild one across the entire state of Alaska. So we saw above normal temperatures across the board, a bit more near normal as we got down towards southeast. But overall, we've seen the bigger pattern shift as far as warmer temperatures last winter further north. Those were a bit wider in coverage than we expected, but certainly a warm, mild winter last year. Didn't see as much below normal temperatures further south. But heading into the precipitation departure from normal, there was a fair amount of precipitation, especially across the western interior up into the Brooks Range. And we did see pretty decent precipitation across much of the state. Some of that did fall in the form of snow, of course. But seeing that as far as impact-wise, it was a mixed bag when it came to our snowfall accumulations. We did get those warmer temperatures, which helped lead to more of that rain-snow mix and freezing rain in some situations. So overall, that pattern of reflecting above normal further north and a bit below normal further south did end up panning out fairly well here in this outlook for last year. And a look at the overall snowfall departure from normal, it was definitely a lack of snow as you head down into the Anchorage and Fairbanks areas, but further north there was a fairly surplus in those regions. So we're heading north up into the western interior and Brooks Range, but further south, a much more mild winter, didn't see a ton of snow, staying well below normal further south. And what are we expecting for this year? This is the big question of what we're going to be focusing on for today. So seasonal temperature outlook, we are favored to transition from what's called ENSO neutral to a La Nina pattern, which typically favors some cooler temperatures here across the northern Alaska and southern Alaska. But with that, better chances for precipitation across the board. So we are overall expecting more equal chances to below normal temperatures across much of southeast and south central. As you head further northwest across western Alaska, the Aleutians further north, temperatures trending a bit warmer given the increased precipitation chances coming in out of the southwest. That allows for those warmer temperatures to build into that area. And what are these big patterns? So when we're looking out at a seasonal outlook, we try to at least begin to outline what are the overall bigger things that are going to be controlling the weather pattern well in advance. We're focused on those details in that 5 to 7 day forecast. But beyond that, we can use some of these long range models to begin to look at the potential for as we head into the winter season. So we were kind of in this ENSO neutral pattern right now, and this mostly just deals with warmer than average sea surface temperatures in the equatorial Pacific. We're seeing that trend a bit colder, and that'll help to allow some more precipitation chances and cooler temperatures to build in across much of the state. But with that precipitation chances does come the warmer temperatures, which is why we typically see colder temperatures further southeast in Alaska, a little bit warmer as you head further northeast on average, given the more precipitation building into the region. And taking a look back at how we compare between El Nino and La Nina when it comes to snow here in Fairbanks, the overall temperature trend is definitely cooler across the eastern interior during the La Nina season. But as you can see with snowfall, it really is highly variable. So a lot of this comes down to local variability, storm track, and the finer details in each system. But overall, we can definitely expect to see fairly similar snow totals to what we saw last year, but trending a bit higher given the cooler temperatures in place. And with respect to the cold, last winter was remarkably warm in Fairbanks. Only saw right around 15 to 20 days of temperatures when they got below 20 degrees there in the morning. And that's far cry from what we saw back in 2020, almost 60 days. So definitely it trended a lot warmer last year. But with this influence, we're keeping the bulk of that warmer air further to the northwest on average, cooler than normal southeast. So we could expect to see a colder and wetter winter across the interior down into southeast Alaska, a bit warmer than normal as you head further northwest, where those better precipitation chances are. And heading down to Anchorage, Anchorage also was dramatically drop off in winter. So compare last winter, 133 inches of snow in Anchorage. Last year, only 61. So it was definitely a big swing when it comes to precipitation totals there in the Anchorage area. We were on a pretty steady climb up from 2015 of showing that minimum right around 30 inches back in 2015, excuse me. But as that continued to trend up, we did see a big drawback in last year. But with the La Nina systems continuing to build back in, we would expect to see the higher snow totals expected down in South Central for this upcoming winter. And when it comes to days below zero in Anchorage, last winter was also fairly mild. Only 7 days got below that 0 degree mark in the Anchorage area. And as you can see here reflected, those La Nina winters are typically when we see the higher days when it comes to below zero in the Anchorage area. And what are we expecting for this winter? So overall, we are transitioning out of an ENSO neutral phase to more of that La Nina pattern. So what that means is overall wetter conditions across the state broadly. When it comes to temperatures, a bit cooler further southeast, a bit warmer than normal further northwest. But as you can see, that only sticks around with us as we head into December, January, and February before La Nina is expected to decrease in its intensity, heading back to a more neutral forecast for the spring and summer months. And overall, that La Nina wedge is in effect, but overall in Alaska, those years are often colder than normal, but precipitation, of course, can vary year to year. A lot of that local variability, local knowledge, and all of that comes into play when we're dealing with a lot of those impacts from La Nina, El Nino. So we try to track those trends and overall give you a best case forecast for these upcoming months. And here's a look at our weak La Nina winter, which we're expecting. So shown there in the brighter blue colors are where we're expecting to see some higher than normal snow totals. Further south, you can see as far as a bit of a drop off there at some of our highest elevations. But overall, the trend is for more precipitation this upcoming winter, with temperatures a bit more mild as you head further northwest, cooler towards the southeast. And total monthly snowfall, heading into Fairbanks, we have on average see about 65 inches of snow in Fairbanks. Our snowiest month is November of all things. So we are expecting that to peak here coming into next month on average. But as you can see, it stays fairly steady throughout the winter before dropping off in the spring. But in comparison to Anchorage, for instance, they see their peak a little bit later than Fairbanks, out towards December timeframe. So with that, we're seeing that peak generally December, and then we see the fairly steady January through March before quickly dropping off in the spring, average there of 78 inches per year. And Alaska's a big place. We always appreciate any reports that anyone has to share with us, whether you be out there plowing the roads, community members, you're our eyes on the ground, boots on the ground. So we always appreciate getting to learn each and every portion of the state and appreciate all your valuable weather information that you can provide to us, as a lot of this stuff is a huge thing and it helps improve our forecast when we're getting those results and what's actually going on the ground. So at the Weather Service, whether it's Juneau, Fairbanks, Anchorage, we always appreciate getting the insight from our local community and federal and state partners. But with that, that's about all I had for today. I'd be happy to take any questions, but just wanted to provide here links to our websites in addition to our social media, phone number, and email. But wanted to thank you so much for letting me speak today.
Thank you, Carter. I'll just note that in last legislative session, we used National Weather Service data to show a slide that I was speaking to. It had 4 years. We were specifically trying to talk about Anchorage having 2 really rough winters 3 years ago and 2 years ago. And then, of course, this last year, it was a very mild winter. And it just showed the variability that our crews experience when they're out there clearing. And really, as Dom spoke to, there's this expectation that, well, if there's less snow, of course your folks are sort of sitting around maybe and don't have as much to do. And I'm here to tell you, I feel that a lot of calls about potholes and erosion in the wintertime. When instead of plowing and dealing with ice, we're dealing with a continuous breakup through most of the wintertime. It's a different challenge. And in fact, it's a different challenge at a time when you have your equipment prepared to deal with one thing and you're having to sort of deal with another. So I guess I just underscore that that's a bit of a challenge. And weather is a key piece to how the DOT attempts to look at the conditions and prepare for what we need to respond to. So, well, what was it? 4 years ago was in Fairbanks, you guys had the layer of ice, the mega ice that was our new baseline to plow on top of. So it's not, you're used to that yourselves. So any questions for Carter before we move on? Shannon.
You have a question in the Q&A that we're asking, how many days,
How many-
this past year that Fairbanks temperature was below
Yeah.
30, 40, and I think he said that it was a very
So,
mild.
so that folks can hear it, yeah. How many days this past year, did Fairbanks temperatures below -30 or -40 degrees?
Yeah, so
yeah.
were you asking for -40, or what was the threshold there?
-30 to -40, which for this Juno boy is probably too many. So what did you do you have that offhand, Carter?
Yeah, let me pull it up. Just give me 1 second here.
Perfect. I'll take one more moment also on weather. Slide 4 of what Carter was showing kind of got to it, but if you go and you look at Coldfoot, we saw a graph with precipitation through the summer. So this isn't winter related, but it'll impact in the wintertime too. The amount of rain that the Dalton Highway has seen, it's a miracle that we're able to blade anything but mud that you immediately sink into. If you look at the chart right now and you see what we've experienced just this year, it is off the charts. And what we're trying to do by showing that is to show folks what we're grappling with the challenge. It's not normal precipitation. And so our response, of course, is not normal. And we've had a lot of emergency event responses that Jason's crews have been responding to. But again, weather data can sort of tell the story that sometimes requires the data. So is Carter still around to go for that?
Yeah, still here for that. Yeah, so last winter we didn't get below -40 at all, so it was a very mild winter in Fairbanks. But yeah, in years past we've been getting down pretty regularly down into the -40s, but we are seeing a more recent trend in recent years to where we are now seeing some winters that don't even get that cold. And like you were saying there, when it comes to mixed precipitation impacts, especially on local highways, with those warmer temperatures we have been seeing, those lead to a lot more significant impacts when it comes to travel than say just rain or just snow during our winter months. But certainly past couple winters we did get to -40 several times during the last winter. That was 23-24, but both 22-23 and 24-25 saw no days below 40 in the Fairbanks area. So we'll be keeping an eye on that for this upcoming season. But as far as, we're definitely seeing more frequent years in the 2010s, 2020s that don't have any days below the -40 mark.
Thank you. Teresa from Senator Meyer's office.
So with the new weather data that you have, how do you use that for predicting, for utilizing the de-icing solution, gravel and whatnot, for actually forecasting your use of materials for the snow at that time frame?
That's good.
We had a very mild winter. I mean,
yeah. So that probably won't be Carter. We would probably tackle that one. So Jason might.
I can help step into that a little bit. Basically that was kind of why I flashed it up there real quick. We have the MDSS system and that gives us treatment application recommendations. The one thing I would like to note, pretty much below 20 degrees above zero, we're not applying chemical with regards to a brine type application. So really in Fairbanks, still most of the seasonality is still covered without brine. The only thing that you will see is a little bit of brine usage, but that is called pre-wetting. And all we do is when we apply sand, we're slightly pre-wetting it. So that way, when it hits the ground, it sticks versus bouncing and scattering and being useless. So we want it to stick there and stay there as long as possible. So.
but the flipping point is -20.
It's 20 above actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we can dip down below, but it takes more chemicals and usage to get I'll say the freezing point lower.
Yeah, called hot sand. It sounds like a CIA dossier or something. Hot sand. All right, we might move on. Thank you, Carter. I really appreciate you joining us. Again, DOT can only do what it does with a lot of partners, federal partners, local partners. So I appreciate you joining us. Next up on our agenda, at least, we have Rebecca Garrett was not able to join us today. But she did provide a presentation that we'll go ahead and play. Hopefully we can hear on the audio because it was a little quiet, but if we all hear past the HVAC, we can hopefully hear it. And I may add something on this as well, but let's go ahead and play
Hello,
Rebecca's.
everyone. My name is Rebecca Garrett, and I'm the Frontier Roads and Sustainability Program
So if
Manager.
we can turn that up
In this
at all,
position,
I'm
I
not sure.
oversee initiatives that connect rural communities through seasonal infrastructure.
Yeah, the audio is fully up on that one. So,
Let me just see what happens.
So I'll bridge this by saying that the Winter Rural Access Program is sort of a group of programs that we have Rebecca leading. That's ice roads, winter trail markings, snow machine grooming. And recently,
Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Garrett, and I'm the Frontier Roads and Sustainability Program Manager.
everyone
In
want to
this
huddle around
position, I oversee
the owl.
initiatives that connect rural communities through seasonal infrastructure. I'm located in Anchorage and I work out of the Commissioner's office. I want to thank you all for letting me speak to your group today. Unfortunately, other
Yeah, that sounds good. So the wrap, as we're calling it, is something that she's leading. Let's try it now and see if we got it. That's a no. Okay, well, what we might do is we might go to our next speaker, Christine, and then we'll see if we can do anything about that. If not, what I might do is give you the footnotes on the wrap up. We also need to pull up the presentation rather than the video. Otherwise, that will be an odd scrolling through the video. So is Christine around to? She's right there. Hi, you were hiding behind Christine. We'll pull up your presentation, and if you want, we'll just roll into your section of the agenda.
Yeah,
Perfect.
as Jason mentioned, we live and die by weather. We're very good at adjusting, so here we go. My name is Christine Langley. I'm the Data Modernization and Innovation Director for the department. This is a group of individuals that works on collecting, aggregating, and using data to improve safety, to modernize our operations, and to really support all of the individuals that you've already heard from today or that you see out on our roadways and on our transportation system. I'm going to talk a little bit about Avalanche first, and then I'm going to be joined by two of my team members, Isvan Gomez and Faith Espinoza. They're going to help walk us through some of the things that you've seen a little bit about today, you may have heard of before, but they're going to give you a little more information on resources that are available and what you can use through this winter. Next slide. So avalanches with snow, winter brings snow, snow brings avalanches. And today you're going to hear about avalanches from me because 50 of our best folks are all getting trained on how to use a howitzer today in preparation for winter. So they could, none of them could be here. This slide up here shows the number of avalanche impacts that we had in 2024. And you'll notice that this is a fairly significant number, right? And those impacts can range from minor to things that actually end up causing us to need to close the road, mitigate an event, and slow down travelers on our roadways and decrease the movement of our economy. And that totaled to 723 hours last year. That's significant for us, and it's one we're always trying to reduce as we go along. If at any point you want to see these aggregated metrics, you can use that QR code or search our website and you can take a look at how many avalanches have been going on through any particular time period that you choose to look at. Next slide. So, as I mentioned, we've been using the howitzers for avalanche mitigation. This is a technology that is being phased out. The military has strongly encouraged us to find another solution. And when the military comes in and says, we really think you should move away from howitzers, we listen to them. So we are looking for methods that we can utilize in Alaska to modernize our avalanche mitigation. And we don't just want to be reactive to what occurs after the avalanche, but we want to start finding ways that we can be alerted ahead of the avalanche and we can mitigate them before they have an impact on our transportation system. We do this with data primarily as a good way to learn what's going on and what's out there. So on the left-hand side there, you'll see new RWIS stations. So this is road weather information. This collects atmospheric information, sometimes photos. Traditionally, these have been items that you see along the roadway. They take power, they take communication. But with new technology, we're starting to be able to put them on locations like this one in Thompson Pass, which is called Three Pigs Summit. And I just feel the need to tell you that name because of the name. So we're starting to map the slides and activity areas that we know of. You can see some of that in that upper right. We're mapping out paths on the lower left, the chutes that result. We're working with cooperators from DGGS to NOAA to other groups and university researchers to make sure that the information we collect not only is beneficial to us, but beneficial to others. So for example, that RWIS site feeds data directly to NOAA as well, and they help use it for predictive analysis. On the bottom right there, you'll see our avalanche forecast, or one of them. We have avalanche mitigation pretty much from one end of the state to the other, right? We've got Thompson Pass in the south, we've got Adigan in the north. And while we might have howitzers located in all those locations, we've got staff located throughout the state, and they're constantly bringing in reports of avalanches. And we've got folks in each of those areas working to predict what the conditions are going to be, help our staff know what to mitigate for the day, and most importantly, how to keep themselves, all of us, our families, friends, and neighbors safe. So as while we have howitzers and we can move them, they are a primary mitigation for the Dalton, the Richardson, and the Seward. There's other locations that we need to get to. And one of the ways we do that is with unmanned aerial systems. These are piloted drones that we can move easily and quickly from various locations. They obviously require slightly less training than the operation of a howitzer. They cost a little bit less. They're easier to come by. And we have these located throughout the state and are working towards testing them to work on avalanches. But they have a limitation, and that's weather. So this is not going to be the end-all solution for all of our avalanche mitigation going forward. Next slide. We currently are designing a RAC, or a remote avalanche control system. As you can see on the right, this is a permanently mounted tower somewhere located high up on a ridge. We can locate these in many areas of Alaska. From that one control tower, we can deploy detonations that will cover several paths, so we can aim them, but they're still restricted to a general spot around that tower. To deploy enough RAC systems to replace the howitzers and provide the mitigation we need is $100 million. I heard some whistle size comments. That's a lot of money, right? We're not prepared necessarily to drop $100 million and install racks all over the state, and they won't solve all of our problems. So we have been working on bringing in grant funding and alternative sources for some other mitigation techniques as well. Next slide, please, Guy. I have so many computers, a strong urge like Jason to hit some button somewhere. So through the use of grant funds, we are installing our very first long-range radar system to do early detection and early warning. We've actually noticed some off-road system avalanches in the past through the use of our RWIS cameras. And that's allowed, for example, in one case, the Forest Service to shut down trail access to prevent the public from getting to an area that they knew was unsafe because the camera images showed that that slide had occurred and someone was paying attention. That requires an individual looking at that particular camera. These systems can be mounted in areas where we have concern. They can monitor the situation. They can start to detect that movement on a hillside, and they can alert, maybe someone back in an M&O location. They can alert our emergency operations center as a whole for DOT, and they can alert the traveling public through the use of lights, gates, various types of physical control that alert the drivers on the roadway. Next slide. And then if 3 pigs wasn't good enough, we also are purchasing a boom whoosh, which I had to verify several times was the official name of this device and not a nickname, but indeed it is a boom whoosh. And the boom whoosh deploys a gas-powered charge that is a large amount of air. It then triggers the avalanche. They can be both located physically and permanently mounted in a location we know we need to mitigate often. They can be put on a trailer and taken to the location of need for the day. And since we are talking the whole state, we occasionally are mitigating avalanches on both ends, or we have one in the middle. These mobile devices will allow us to travel from either side that we need to get to. So with that, when we are doing avalanche mitigation, we post this on 511. 511 is one of the ways that we alert the public to what's going on. It's our one-stop shop for information for the public. We push out not only DOT information, but information for other entities as well that affect community members. Last year, we had nearly 1 million visits to 511. Those are individuals that are checking construction information. They're looking for conditions as they travel to other communities in their own communities. And we're on track already to hit over 1 million here very shortly for 2025. We see very strong spikes whenever there's events in usage. And I think for the first year ever, we were announcing and alerting the public this last year on wildfires, tsunamis, glacial outburst flooding. We hit almost every weather-related event we could come up with. So to learn more about 511, Isvan Gomez is going to join us. He is one of the people behind the scenes.
So one of the things that I believe is really unique about 501, it's powered by Alaskans for Alaskans. So the people that contribute to 501, keeping the road conditions available today, closures, construction, it's people within our community. And I think that's really valuable to have those people in the community to contribute. And some of the people that contribute to 501 is equipment operators, construction staff, avalanche response team. Like Christine said, they're out there. We have emergency operator and local police, Alaska troopers, and other government entities. So it's everybody within our community contributing a little bit to make it safer for the public, so they know. Next slide, please. So if you go to 501.gov, 501.alaska.gov, you see our main page, and the really neat thing about it is we have a lot of information there. You do have layers, you can toggle on and get all that individual information. I also highly recommend you create an account. You can actually go in and put my routes and see what construction is going on the route to your location, and even do preset routes. So if you come into morning and to work every morning, you can set it up and send you an email or a text message and let you know, hey, heads up, there's some construction. Hey, heads up, there's a weather event or something along the road, or it's great condition. So it's really neat information to have at your fingertips. Next slide, please. Some of the layers that we have on there is the road work layer, but we also have a temporary work zone. So if you guys notice coming in, there's a little pilot. The little beacon LEDs that flash. Those are really neat, especially for our EMS, because as we know, flares, timeout, they die. You have to keep track of them, especially when you're on scene. The last thing you want to worry about is if the EMS crew is being safe out there. They're seen by the public that's traveling. With the pilot, and nice thing is that it's an LED road flare. It has a case. You take it out, drop it down, turn it on, and it syncs with it automatically. And so they can focus just on doing their work, because on the back end, anytime one of those is activated, it automatically sends up a temporary work zone. So that way There is the physical light reminding the public, hey, heads up, there's something up ahead, but also it really helps with the digital learning. Because if you have the app and it are in drive mode, it'll give you an audible alert when you're traveling. So that way it just gives another tool for the public to be aware that there is something going up ahead. And it helps them make the wise decisions, the safe choices, to keep, themselves and also the EMS, workers safe. The other good layer that we have is the maintenance vehicle status. And this is for our maintenance vehicles now that we're going into winter. They can see if snowplow vehicle has been near the area or not, and kind of like where it's at. And it does give us like a better idea of all the hard work the M&O people do, working so hard every day to make sure our roads are safe. And we haven't forgotten about our freight community either. We do have two layers for the freight community, which is seasonal loads and bridge heights. And again, it's just there to give the public more information, especially for the seasonal loads. It helps give an easy visualization of what the loads, load capacity of the roads are at that time. Next slide, please. I highly recommend, if you can, download the Alaska 501 app. Just like the website, it's fairly intuitive, it's touch-based, and it gives a lot of information. We can go to the next slide, please. Some of the layers I want to bring out again, is the road maintenance weather, so road maintenance layer along with temporary work zones. And again, all these will give you audible alerts. So if you're driving, you don't have to be looking at your phone. You set it in drive mode, it even dims itself, so it's not distracting. And when you're driving, it'll actually give you audible alerts of what's coming up ahead, what's relevant to your route. We have the road maintenance. We also have the closures, which is very important to know, especially in avalanche and snow season. There's really good information to have, along with cameras. Like, you know, photos worth 1,000 words, and we do our utmost to put those cameras up to date. Along with maintenance vehicle status, again. A lot of times those vehicles are slower moving, and if you're not aware that they're in the vicinity, you might approach a turn or intersection a little bit quicker. But with audible alerts, it just gives you an audible alert saying there's a maintenance vehicle ahead, and it'll allow you to slow down and again, keep yourself safe along with the operators. And the message boards currently, we have it in Fairbanks and Anchorage, but we are actively working to ingest and show more message boards. So again, the public has more information. Next slide, please. And this is just an example of how vast Alaska weather can be, how drastic. This photos were taken literally, the screenshots were taken within a couple of minutes of each other. And we see clearly how different it is. So within one road trip, we can encounter all sorts of weather. So we want to make sure the public is aware of that. And we give that information to them. Next slide, please. And also within the app, we do have a freight mode. And again, it's just gives you the audible alerts, the information you need. The main difference is that will give you seasonal loads and again, bridge heights. And all that is there so they can go ahead and be safe on the day. Next slide is Faith.
All right, everyone, my name is Faith Espinosa. I am here to talk to you about the winter operations dashboard. So we know the state of Alaska is its immense size makes clearing the roads during winter storm events very difficult to manage. This challenge is conquered by our 80 maintenance stations who have to clear 11,984 lane miles of road. And sometimes the challenge with trying to conquer and clear all those lane miles is that it will start snowing before the roads are clear. So we have the winter sidewalk. Can you go back one? Oh, all right. Well, you guys saw it earlier with Jason Sakalaskis. We have the winter road maintenance priority map, and that is so that way you can, as the traveling public, look at your route to work from your house and see what priority level you're at to better understand what the conditions may be before you leave the house. We also have the winter sidewalk priority map for our high trafficked areas for pedestrians, so that way they can better understand what sidewalks are going to get cleared first. And we have those mainly in our business intersections, business centers. So here we have our Just snapshot, if you pull up the winter operations dashboard, and you toggle on all the times for the file locations, you get to see one, what the priority levels are for the road, because you're pulling that map into this feature, where the plow has been, what direction it is traveled, and when it was there last. So like this road in Juneau here, it is, you cannot see it because the plow's over the top currently, but it is a priority level 3. It was traveled in the last 30 hours. At the time of the snapshot last January, the plow had yet to be there. We have plows headed in that direction now, indicating that it may be cleared sometime within the next day. I love this feature on the left where we pull in our camera footage from the Argus stations. So even if you don't necessarily understand what the condition of the road is, just by looking at this and understanding the priority level, you can see a real-time image to tell you what the actual condition of the road is at that time in this area. Sorry. So the actual, you can tell what the actual condition of the road is on the left from the Argus cameras that we have pulled in, and then you can see the actual plow locations, where they're going, where they've been, and you can see what priority level is currently there, and anybody can also, up at the top, click the search function and see what their road, what their route to work looks like. All right. So we have this really great mobile application feature. So this allows you to check the road conditions on the go. So when adverse weather conditions arise as you're on a long road trip or just on the drive into work, this dashboard allows you to pull over, pull it up, and see if the plow is headed in your direction, when it was last there, and whether allows you to determine whether or not you should wait it out. You can look further down the road to determine if an Argus station is further out and if it shows that the weather is clearing up and whether or not you should push on. Down there on the bottom, there's a little caret. When you click it, it pulls it up, it tells you the map legend for real time, so you don't have to have it memorized. You can toggle to the Argus cameras or for more information on those areas, because our Argus also pull in temperature, dew point, pavement temperature, precipitation, wind speeds, etc. So that goes into my next slide. So more data, better insights, and safer roads. Our Argus stations, as I keep repeating to you, is the road weather information station. These are absolutely fantastic. They allow you to see in real time what the conditions are on the road further out. And it's not just for the traveling public who are just focused on only the roadway. It's also for our recreational users. For those traveling out and about for purposes like skiing, hunting, mushing, etc. Any one of our outdoor adventures, you can use these in the location to better determine exactly what you're kind of walking into and better prepare yourself, because weather conditions in Alaska are constantly changing. One exciting new feature we're coming up with is Adegan Pass. So we've had a station at the south side of Adegan Pass for years, but with new technology, we're moving forward with trying to get a new station up at the north side of Adegan Pass. And this will allow us to better inform the drivers on the road, the haul route, or even just in response after avalanche events. So it allows those workers in the nearby area to know if the road has been cleared, and we are very much looking forward to it. All right. If you have any questions about any of these systems, feel free to contact any of the people on the screen.
So thank you, Gomez and Faith. We really appreciate that. And while those two individuals work on this day in and day out, it only happens through all of our partners throughout DOT. Those tools are available. Those tools can improve safety that still doesn't mean crashes don't happen, right? And so one of the things that this team has been working on is finding funding sources that support our strategic highway safety plan and our EMS providers out there on the road. And so we just recently were able to hand 14 different communities throughout Alaska extrication tools. So these are often referred to as jaws of life. These are the items that EMS providers need on scene to help an individual get out of a crash situation, out of a vehicle, and to care as fast as possible. We are about to send out over $500,000 worth of those. We know that getting those out to our primarily non-urban areas that are further from care is going to increase the survival rates of individuals on what's probably their worst day. So we're excited to see that. And as Faith said, there's a bunch of folks behind the scenes and you're welcome to reach out to them.
Thank you. All right. I'll take 1 minute to just say that I really appreciate Faith and Gomez. When you have folks behind the scenes who, I never try to put folks in awkward situations on committees and everything else, but it really is great to hear directly from folks who are working on those tools behind the scenes. We get an opportunity to come up and report on things, but we're certainly sort of the communicators, and I love sometimes hearing directly from, and I think it's great. So thank you for coming up front and speaking to the entire crowd. If Eli is good with it, we might put the winter roads presentation up and I might speak to it. Okay, perfect. Instead, because we don't need to go through another round of seeing if we can get the audio to work. Does anyone in the room know what the Coast Guard motto is? Anybody? Semper Paratus. Is there, and does anyone know what Semper Paratus means? Always prepared. So I'm a bit of a Boy Scout, and so we actually have an outline of the notes for reading off this. So I'm not Rebecca Garrett, but I will do my best to read through the notes. So Winter Rural Access Program. So hi, my name is not Rebecca Garrett, and I am the Frontier Roads and Sustainability Program Manager. In that position, she oversees initiatives that connect rural communities through seasonal infrastructure. And so she's located in Anchorage. She works in the commissioner's office, and she did a fantastic job putting this information together. Unfortunately, she had some wonderful things happening in the family, needed to go visit with them, and is not here with us today. But nonetheless, she has information for us to share. So the Frontier Roads Program does encompass, as we mentioned, and is on the screen, a number of programs that are vital to rural Alaska in particular, but across the entire state. They encompass ice roads, winter trail markings, and snow machine trails. And really, this program reflects the unique ways that Alaskans live, travel, and recreate, especially in rural Alaska. The trails and seasonal roads are just part of how DOT meets the mission of keeping Alaska moving. And so we're going to step through a few of these slides that detail some of these programs. If you have questions, I will do my utmost best to see if I can answer them, because I do work with Rebecca on a number of things, but it may be deferred until we have an opportunity to get back to you. So on this is the map that talks about the winter trails and ice roads. This map highlights key transportation links throughout Alaska. It can be a little hard to see, so I might point to some items, but they're color coded. So it shows major highways in gray. It shows potential ice road links in pink. So we've got one here down in Southwest. And then also there are winter trail applications that apparently are in blue. So you can see a few of those out west in the interior. So there's existing winter trails in yellow. So we can see those up north, kind of all over, which is fantastic. So for example, there's an ice road sponsored by Fort Yukon. This will be the first season that they have built the road to Circle. And Circle is connected to the road system, allowing people in Fort Yukon to drive to Fairbanks, previously about $200 one way per person for medical appointments, shopping, or obtaining building supplies. They can even drive all the way to Key West, Florida, over 5,000 miles away. So some of these are vital links for these communities. All these links across the state help people travel safely to subsistence hunting areas, to nearby communities to attend events, celebrations, basketball games, and potentially to healthcare. And I mean, I'll just as a personal note say, most folks, I hopefully get, but sports in Alaska is fundamental to a number of communities, both to enjoy, but also in school systems, there are folks who sort of, they focus on sports and it keeps them out of other activities. So sports absolutely are, for many rural areas, very important. Most of you know that, but I think I'll underscore it. So if we go to the next slide, slide 4, the Safe Ice Roads for Alaska, or SERA, is an incredibly important program. And happy to report that after years of effort, mostly by Rebecca, and then of course, Deputy Commissioner Keith and others on our team, we are excited to finally secure federal funding this season. Before, we've been needing to supplement it because we've been having issues with federal partners, trying to get to the criteria and eligibility that was built into the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, but we're finally in a place we're able to leverage that and really get this program stood up. So obtaining these federal funds for the program means that there is more money available to tribes and local governments interested in sponsoring an ice road. So the Kuskokwim Ice Road is about 300 miles long, and it connects regional communities in Bethel, where there is a hospital and jet service. It allows larger groups like basketball teams to travel to other communities at a much lower cost. It allows families to go and see the game. These programs are not just about transportation, they are about connection, safety, and opportunities. And specifically on the Kuskokwim Ice Road, it is sponsored by the native village of Napaimute, which sees nearly daily use by the Alaska State Troopers. The U.S. Postal Service, bulk fuel delivery, construction supplies, there's a fairly good list. They all take advantage of this road that helps keep costs low and delivers items that they may not be able to by plane or would be much more expensive. So there are expected to be 750 miles of ice roads this winter, conditions and work permitting. Other examples, Healy Lake, there's a small airport on the only way that they get their fuel. Fort Yukon building a road to Circle for the first time, like we said. There's a lot of exciting, and again, once this is stood up and we have the way to federal funding established and used, this program is going to grow because there are areas that could benefit from an ice road where that is much more affordable to get certain things in the wintertime. But go to slide 5. The goal of the Winter Trail Marking Program is to facilitate connections between rural communities, public roads or highways, and public use areas through installation of high visibility trail markers. Thank you, Eli. There we go. One of the top purposes of this program is safety. Alaska is a vast wilderness with many different microclimates, and the weather can come in quickly. And these markers help guide people to where they are going and give accessibility to search and rescue, which is very important in some of these areas where you can't just pick up your cell phone. You need to, and I learned in the grooming program, snow grooming program, that DPS, after losing a helo, doesn't necessarily fly night operations. So again, if you're thinking about search and rescue, you need to remember what capabilities you have at different times, different conditions, and a terrestrial or land link can be the difference in getting out to someone in time. So winter trails cover a lot of land and a lot of landowners. So DOT is working on projects through the design and environmental process, and then we turn them over to a local entity to install the trail markers. And like the ice roads, these seasonal trails allow people to travel between communities and to attend events and to go subsistence hunting in areas where, again, we would just want to enhance the safety for people to go and do that. Slide 6, next. So snow machine trails are relatively new to DOT. As I said, a few years ago, that transferred from DNR to DOT. And we're excited to work with the interested communities and local nonprofits on this program. The applicant pool this year, they're all located in about the South Central Alaska area. But in previous years, we have had participation from Juneau. And like other programs, we are looking to leverage additional federal dollars that you can put into some of these programs and say, I know there was a restriction on funds before, open call, who else would like to benefit from the program? Where else can we do this type of access for snow machine trails? The program is funded in part from snow machine registration fees. Those fees raise about $120,000 in at least authority. And it varies from year to year, but that helps with the grooming of the trails. For the last 2 years, DOT has used state funds. Just like we said with ice roads, we've had to supplement this program because we've been working on how to get federal funds to work with the program and not in opposition to it. This year, our federal funding has been secured through the RTP program, which I announced was in an administrative order going to be transitioned from DNR to DOT. So there are over 1,600 miles of groomed trails under the program, allowing Alaskans and visitors alike to get out and enjoy winter activities. And this is motorized and non-motorized users. Obviously, snow machines typically use them, but we do have non-motorized users out there too. These are multi-use trails that support dog sled teams, fat tire bikers, skiers, and outdoor enthusiasts of all types. Some of the clubs have search and rescue equipment or support search and rescue. And so again, all of these programs are important to safety in the outdoors. The Willow Trail community grooms over 300 miles of trails in the Mat-Su Borough in South Central Alaska alone. There are multi-use trails that serve as arterials for transporting goods to lodges and resupplying off-grid residences. These trails host the Iditarod, Junior Iditarod, the Willow Winter Carnival, and numerous mid-distance dog, snow machine, bike, and multi-sport races. I'll probably stop there and say that's the overview of most of those programs. Again, we've wrapped them under one program, the Winter Rural Access Program, and Rebecca Garrett is doing a phenomenal job of standing that program up, working with community partners and executing on all of these that program is tailored to rural and remote areas, even though it's being used in more urban districts and corridors too. So any questions I could at least take a stab at? Representative.
The Winter Trail Marking Program is amazing, and the communities that benefit from it are dependent on a lot of cases. Are there any communities that apply? I saw there's like an application period. Are there any communities that we deny because of lack of funding or any other issues? And can you talk about that application process and what it looks like?
I will send an email to you and we will put it on the website because no, I don't. That Winter Trail Marking is actually one of the ones that Rebecca had sort of under control first, as in we had that figured out and it's working well. Sierra, snow grooming, those ones took a lot of effort to try and wrangle and get into place. So I've been involved in more of, I usually don't get involved if something's working well as much. I'm normally involved if it's not working as well and or there's a lot of legislative interest that we have to resolve something. So on that one, I'll get back to you on that one because I'm not sure.
And the follow-up to that too is I know tribes partner in maintaining the trails and working on it. I don't know though if tribes contribute financially to those projects as well too. So I'm just curious about this.
On a number of these programs, I know that tribes, there's an option to add to or supplement. Again, on that one, I'm not sure because Winter Trails is, if it ain't broke, and he's not involved. So I will ask and I can get something back to you. And to make sure it's not just to Representative Carrick, we'll put it on the FAQ as a question asked and answered for the Snow Summit. But thank you for asking it. Okay. At this point, there's only one thing left. One thing that Danielle is potentially going to come up and have fun doing. Well, yeah.
I think we have.
Well, Pam is going to come up. Sorry, Pam. Where are you, Pam? There you are. Hey. There we go. She doesn't have her. Pam, why don't you come up and talk to us about lighting up the night? There we go.
But I'm always ready. I mean,
Well,
I'm
we were-
part
yeah.
of crisis with Jason and
Well-
everyone too, so.
We'll do the Menti meter.
I can go now. All right, just give me your way while I get back. No, go ahead. Okay.
And we have your slides to put up.
Oh, he's over there. Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure he was here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pam Golden. I am the state traffic and safety engineer. So lighting in Alaska, as you might imagine, is quite expensive. It's been 5 or 6 years since I had this number that was fresh, but the Fairbanks only M&O budget for electricity for signals and lighting was over $1 million. So you'll see Fairbanks is almost, I think, completely converted to LED lighting, and that is something we're working on across the state, but I think it's 2/3 of what it was. Our power costs went down to so 66% of what it was when those were the old high pressure sodium lights. But the lighting and pedestrian safety go hand in hand. You can go to the next slide. I already said who I was. But this is the sobering part of it. Pedestrian crashes in Alaska, this is a 5-year window. So 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 is 5 years. So we've had 653 total crash events involving pedestrians in 5 years. Of those, 136 resulted in someone being seriously injured, and 68 of them resulted in someone passing away. 78.5% of all of our pedestrian crashes occur in the municipality of Anchorage. But more importantly, it's National Pedestrian Safety Month. So we are out promoting some of these pedestrian safety tips from both drivers and pedestrians. But you'll see here on the, this is the calendar of the whole year. And these are all kinds of crashes. And it's not surprising that things pick up August, September, October. It's starting to get dark. We're still out because the weather is still decent. And so darkness and pedestrians can be a challenge. Next slide, please. So with that, dialing into serious injuries and fatalities, because this is where we focus our safety efforts. 75% of pedestrian serious injuries and fatalities occur between dusk and dawn. So even though you'll see a high number of these are daylight, those tend to be our serious injuries. These drivers can generally see what's happening and maybe slow down. And when it comes to being hit as a pedestrian, we're soft and squishy. So the slower the vehicle hits us, the less likely we are to go from serious injury to fatality. So the interesting one is darkness, times of darkness on a lighted roadway. This is a photo, I believe, from Anchorage. There is a pedestrian in that photo, and if we didn't have them circled, you may not have seen them. So it's very typical. We've all seen the pedestrian out there who is wearing black from head to toe. In this case, I think they're carrying a shopping bag. That might have been what would have caused you to see them. So this is, this is where we're really trying to focus. How do we do better providing lighting? How do we do better providing education? How do we do better with enforcement to make sure that these things don't continue? Because it is a safe system approach. It is not just about the road. Next slide, please. So in the past year, not that this was never a focus before, but we have really concentrated a lot of effort as to how do we tackle this? This has happened in both Anchorage and Anchorage and Fairbanks, where when a vulnerable road user, so a pedestrian or a bicyclist, is involved in a fatal crash, we go out with law enforcement. Our traffic engineers go out with law enforcement. As soon after the crashes as possible, we have to coordinate with them and to review the circumstances of what happened, because it's not always cut to dry. What makes it to the news report may not be a complete picture. What we see in the crash report may not be a complete picture. So we try to gather as much information from the responding officer as we can to understand what contributed to the crash. You may have heard of our Vision Zero Task Force in partnership with the municipality of Anchorage. Those are monthly meetings where the DOT, the municipal planning organization, and the municipality staff come together, including Anchorage Police Department when they're available. And we talk about what's going on. How can we do better? What are we doing as a transportation community, as a law enforcement community to help drive these crashes down? With that, we established a couple of rapid response project funds. Fun times. So this allows us to go out and do non-ground disturbing activities. So we're leveraging federal funding. One of the key things we're doing here very soon, there's an agreement that has to finish being signed between the state and the municipality of Anchorage, but there was a fatality at Benson and C. We figured out, all sat there and reviewed what happened. We were like, oh, there's something we can do here. We've got to modify the signal timing. We have to upgrade the cabinet, but all of these things don't require us to dig up the dirt at all. So we are putting money at that to get out there and do something about that location. right away, rather than waiting for one of our longer term capital projects. We have the bicycle and pedestrian, sorry, that's hard to say in a fast, so we're having focused safety audits. There's actually one occurring today in Fairbanks. One of our high injury network corridors for Fairbanks is Geist Road between Riverview, so over by Justice Store, and Kyle Court, which is the entrance to that food truck park. It's not a signed street, so but that interchange ramp, that whole interchange is one of our high injury corridor networks. So we have a trooper out with us today, we have fast planning out with us today, and we have 2 engineers from Anchorage who don't have that bias of, well, I live in Fairbanks, I know what to do. So it's independent lens. Tomorrow they're doing College Road. So that very first set of those multiple road user safety assessments is happening as we speak. As Jason mentioned, we have different snow removal contracts. One of them, particularly for the Anchorage area, is focused on those pedestrian facilities, so the pathways and the sidewalks. Our operators, it allows them to focus on getting the roads cleared, and then we have contract forces that can come in and get that sidewalk or that pathway cleared as soon as possible, so that we're not waiting for us. Okay, we parked that truck and we came back and we got the different piece of equipment to go out and do that. We want to get those cleared as soon as possible, because we know when they're not cleared, people are having to walk in the street. And that's not where we want our pedestrians to be. We have a whole lot of increased public outreach. We just did a series of public safety announcements that we filmed that feature our own staff as our players. We have those that we started ramping up that outreach in September and August, because we know that's when our pedestrian crashes start increasing. We didn't want to wait for national pedestrian safety money. So again, we found a federal funding source that allowed us to do that. We're out there increasing that outreach. We have a reflective wearables program. This is not federal money, but we have, and folks can take stuff home with them today. We have armbands, we have neck gaiters. There are vests. Angela, would you please show Biggie and Baby Biggie? So we have a Bigfoot themed campaign that's legends deserve to be seen. And so Bigfoot is a legend, legends deserve to be seen. So we have these vests that you can wear. Our fine folks over here, I did not plant them, are wearing high visibility gear. Thank you. We encourage everyone to wear it, but we're trying to get some of those things out there. We also went to the Tanana Valley State Fair, the Alaska State Fair. These are bike smoke reflectors. So encouraging kids or fat tire bikers or whoever, like, it's just another thing that you can put out there to just help you pop when the lighting starts to get dim. We have, we're evaluating using a dynamic pedestrian lighting system. So you are at the crosswalk, you're walking, and the light is following you. So it's a light that shines down at the crosswalk, and as you're walking, the light follows you across. So we are looking for, we haven't decided yet on the locations, but we're looking for crosswalks, not at the signalized intersections. We don't want to sort of go and put something there that might distract. So we're looking at these mid-block crossing type situations. So it's completely machine based, like you don't have to do anything as a pedestrian, it just happens with you. So really trying to get that focus on, hey driver, something's happening here. And then there's some other crosswalk focused intersection lighting. So signal, that's a mast arm that signals are hanging on. There's underlighting you can put there that shines more specifically on the crosswalk to sort of give some additional visual attention to the crosswalk, but it's not a light that follows you in that sense. And then our highway safety office has a host of grants that they do. So they are help providing funding to law enforcement for all kinds of enforcement, impaired driving, but also vulnerable road user specific outreach. We have grants to the Center for Safe Alaskans. So if you, anyone who lives in the state of Alaska can go to the Center for Safe Alaskans and request reflective tape. So put it on kids' backpacks, put it on you, put it wherever. But there, those types of grants, but we have all kinds of behavioral grants that come out through the Highway Safety Office. And then on the more traditional, what people think of DOT side, we have our highway safety improvement program. 15 of our projects in that program right now are specific to vulnerable road users. Pedestrian safety is part of every project we do, but these are really targeting pedestrian safety improvements as kind of their sole focus. Okay, next. So as I said, safety is a shared responsibility, and this, I cannot stress this enough, and you'll hear me say it no matter where I am. As drivers, we have to be on the lookout for pedestrians, bicyclists. I'm of the age where the driver's ed video, like the ball came out and then the kid came out, you know, the sort of thing that you have to always be vigilant about what your surroundings are. So I saw this on a message board, I think out of Iowa, slow down, speeding won't get you through winter any faster. So to me, these are the worst driving conditions out there in the morning when I come to work, dark and raining. I can't stand it. I'd be a terrible person to live in Juneau. But I'm bring on the snow. You know, it's especially hard. We saw that picture where the dark, no snow, pedestrian on the sidewalk, very difficult to see. Right now, we have an internal DOT safety minute that we do each week. Our focus this week was the right and left turn traffic. So you are turning at an intersection, there's a crosswalk, and people, it's a very common type of crash in Alaska where you turn into a pedestrian. So really reminding our own staff to be vigilant about when turning. We have a PSA about it that is out there. Public radio, the different streaming services. Did we do those? Yeah. Instagram. Yeah, all those sorts of things. So, and then eliminating distractions and driving sober. But we also ask for pedestrians to walk sober. Just because you went out to a bar and you think that walking home because you're drunk is the right choice, it is the right choice. Please have someone with you who can make sure that you are still walking safely. And then wear reflective gear, even better and harder to find is retroreflective. Because like our signs are retroreflective as opposed to reflective. And then if the marked crosswalk's not available, please wait for a good gap. You can see all the way across. So that's me.
Yeah.
Please take home beer.
Grab the reflective gear. Yeah. And when I was looking at this topic, my wife really likes the cool blue light. And I'm like the darker cave candle light. I want it warm. And I found out by looking at it, there's a whole like rabbit hole you can go to in the lighting world, that the warmer lights are actually better at not being creating halos and scattering. And so I hope that we're moving towards aging eyes. Okay, well, anyway, I'm just gonna put I like the warmer lights, and that now I know why. But that there's a whole science behind it. There's updated manuals. You can really, any one of these areas could be a couple hours if you were wanting to get into it that deep, and we're just doing sort of an overview today. So, were there any questions before we let Pam off the hook, both online or in the room?
Yeah, how many injuries actually take place outside of a standardized, crosswalk? Is there any kind of?
Yeah.
We have to look it up, but we can get.
We'd have to look that up, yeah, and I know when we're looking at Vision Zero, with the conversations that we're having in Anchorage specifically, the pedestrian sort of spike, pedestrian fatalities and injuries that we saw spiking there was partially, or maybe even the mid-block crossings, which is the outside of a crosswalk, which is of course where that's going to happen. That's if a driver is not looking for someone crossing there, and so naturally that's going to create a conflict someone doesn't expect.
And we do know, there is research, right? Pedestrians won't walk more than about 200 feet out of direction to make a crossing. So we do unfortunately have crashes that you sit there when you're looking at it, you're like, what's the crosswalk? But it's really, we're not going to go out of direction. It's like, oh, I think I can make it. So it is, and it's human nature. Like we're all going to take the shortest path.
And the same presentation, we took that photo that was circled the pedestrian in the dark. There was another couple images that showed in the Anchorage area again, that there was this pedestrian overpass that was built in a very busy section. And you had pedestrians crossing on the road to the median, and they were not using it because it was going up some stairs and going down. So even if you build it, they will not necessarily use it, and it's a challenge. So there's things like putting walls in medians to discourage people from coming across, and that's not very popular in some communities. So it's a dialogue on what can we do to encourage behavior that doesn't result in serious injury and fatality. That's a good question. Representative.
I thank you for the presentation, and it's sad to see the numbers of pedestrians getting hit. I have some constituents that live on College Road, and they just brought up to me the sidewalks. I don't know if this is city or state.
It's state, College Road is a
Okay.
state road.
Just that when the sidewalks are plowed, there's a berm and they're having troubles there. I don't know if that's on your radar. So, yeah, that was brought up to me last year, so.
No, I appreciate it. And that's
Yeah.
where we're talking about some of these contract maintenance and different ways of looking at how do we get out there and clear those facilities? Because the only way to do it is to move the snow to the sidewalk and then come back and scoop the snow off the sidewalk. So
I'm glad it's. I get that now. And then I was thinking of like the Kids Don't Float program. I wonder if we could do something like We Don't Float program, like putting those reflectors at bus stops, or just kind of like what we do at docks. When it starts to get dark out. I don't know what the cost is of Kids Don't Float, but that might be a thought for people to grab. These like reflectors. That was just an idea, and then I have one other thought, but it's gone.
I'm here in Fairbanks, call me.
Okay.
I'll fill time, you can think of the other time. So, this is, first run out of the gate, this reflective gear. We have been working on figuring out what is popular. You'll notice that Pam and I are of similar age. I was completely unaware that the average high school student really likes lanyards. This was new to me. We luckily have some younger folks on our comms team that help us out. And if lanyards are cool, all right, I'll believe you. So, we've been trying various pieces here, and one of our next thoughts is similar to that. Okay, how can we lift this program and make it slightly larger? Maybe that is become a partner in safety with DOT and ask community members, organizations, businesses in all of our communities, help us out here. Let us work towards that.
Our conversation yesterday was maybe we can work with transit operators because they have a pedestrian, they're going to and from. So we're brainstorming all the time, and if people have ideas, we obviously would love to hear them.
Yeah, so we'd really like that, because there's that fine line right between something that someone's going to get rid of and the cost involved in getting something that they're going to use over and over again.
Yeah, I just thought of that, like, where you can grab, put it on, if you're gonna walk down University Avenue or whatever.
Yeah.
But I did think of it, I appreciate the crosswalk at the farmer's market, the lights.
it's a rectangular rapid flashing beacon.
Yeah, they're great.
I can nerd out.
Now you know the term.
Don't know the cost of that, but that was a great one.
Thank you. Did you have a question?
During trick or treating, the FPD hands out glow sticks
Yep.
to all the kids.
Yeah, they're very attached to their glow sticks, but we're looking for those groups that it's like, let us hand you a whole bunch of armbands, suspenders, whatever works. But open to ideas, as Andy said, we're looking for partners.
Our life cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you have a high frequency night or a particular spike, that makes a lot of sense, right? Yeah. I'm not a lanyard person, but when I saw those straps, I was like, can I do a Rambo with one of those? I don't think it would get around my big head, but anyway, yeah, we need to be thinking about different generations and what appeals to different users for sure when that's the challenge, so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, now it's Danielle and team that'll come on up and I think close us out with this activity.
I think we have what, 10
Yes.
minutes, and so Ray was gonna pull up a Mentimeter, and so you've been sitting for quite some time.
We'll know what a Mentimeter is.
I'll get there.
Oh, okay. We
Do
practiced.
you want to tell them?
No, you got it.
Mentimeters, actually, does anyone know what a Mentimeter is? I got a solid one in the back. I got a solid one here.
Yeah.
My DOT folks know because they have to do them. No, it's just a way to engage with us. So, on the screen, there's gonna be a QR code popping up. If you have your phone handy, you can pull out, Jason's got his phone handy, he's well trained. Pull out your phone and, go to the camera. And if you push your camera over this QR code, there'll be a link. So just press that link. And we're just gonna take you through some of the questions that we have. Some of them are just reflective questions, no pun intended, on what you thought of today, what you want to see going forward. But then also we have some other questions in here. So as you can see, for those that are interested in things like Menti, down here in the corner, I can see you guys are joining, which is fun. People are jumping on there. It looks like you have 32 people. Okay. So with this, we can just go ahead and go to the next slide. And the first question is, what's the first word that comes to mind when you think of winter in Alaska? Oh, darn. That was good timing. Snow. Oh, but beautiful. I love it. And while you guys are filling that out, Grace is in the back of the computer. Grace, go ahead and put your hand up. Grace is part of our communication team. She's located here in Fairbanks. And so if you have any questions, she can help you out if you have questions when you leave here as well, Grace. Angelica, snuggling our reflective. What was the name again? Yeah, is also part of our communication team. All right, we can go ahead and scoot on to the next one. So what is one of your favorite winter activities? Plowing? Plowing. And the no folks. I know. I wonder why I'm an no folks. Cross country skiing, reading with coffee. Okay, so now that you're familiar with a Mentimeter, we're gonna keep scooting it along. Let's go to the next one. Now we're gonna get into some DOT stuff. So how confident do you feel driving on icy or snowy roads? So we can either choose very confident, somewhat, or not confident. Like you have some Fairbanks folks people, we're very confident. Somewhat. Okay. This is a good one for us to learn kind of what it is you're using. So what service do you rely on most during winter? Now, we've got 511, which you learned about, thanks Gomez for that. Snowplow activity and social media alerts. Which, if you look in the back, Evelyn, who's holding our camera, she's our intern. She's been helping a lot with social media. She is the young one that told us lanyards are cool. Okay, did you see there how many had social media on there? That was good, right? Okay, our next one is, what would you like DOT and PF to communicate more about during winter? Do you want us to tell you more about road conditions, safety tips, maintenance priorities, or estimated response or clear time? And then if there's folks on the line still and you have other questions at all in any way, you are welcome to engage there as well, or our team is still monitoring that too. You have feedback. Okay, road conditions. What's your best personal tip for safe winter travel? Slow down.
leave early. I wish I could do that. I just can't. Be prepared. Oh, a safety winter bag. Time. Don't rush. Safety gear. Yeah, keep a shovel, extra snow gear. Husband is the guy that stops and helps everyone. It takes forever to get anywhere. Okay, these are great. There's still more coming in too. Phone a friend. Okay, who knows what barf is?
With another R, right? But yeah.
Besides DOT people.
Yeah. Because we've advertised it a lot. And we need to do more apparently.
I wonder if we put that. Okay, so anyone want to tell them? I know so Shannon McCarthy, as you guys may know, she's our communication director. Tell us what BARF means. Means bridges and ramps freeze first. So we do a fun campaign. We think it's fun. Maybe we need to revamp it to get your attention a little more, but
I have an idea.
tell us your idea.
No, not right now. It's not a focus group.
Okay, let's do the next one. All right, so here's where we're gonna get you. Jason, don't get this one. You're the one who knows. How many lane miles does DOT and PF maintain in Alaska during winter?
Like you want to be a millionaire,
I know, I'm
polling the audience.
How many people do we have left? Who dropped off? Who stopped? Who thinks this isn't fun?
11,800.
ChatGPT. Oh.
Yes, that's right. Paying attention, good job. So again, there's center lane versus, it depends on how you frame the question. In government, don't you always answer, it depends?
Okay, which do you think is most impacted by thawing permafrost? Roads and highways, airport runways, buildings and utilities, all of the above. Everything. And then just a few more, I think. After today's presentation, how much better do you understand your TDPS role in winter operation? Not at all, somewhat better, much better.
I'm still confused, option.
Still confused. Where's the part two? Right. This is good. This helps us kind of recognize not only what we should focus on for the next snow summit, but also things we can do a better job of even on social media or other outreach. So what topics do you like to hear about?
Last year, we touched on ADA accessibility and a number of things we haven't really talked about. And there are areas we still haven't really delved into, so well, we're looking for more avalanche, of course.
We have such good time. There's so much to say. Which is kind of a nice little segue into more avalanche for what we're gonna be talking about here soon with our Name the Plow contest.
Yeah, last year we did an SEF update, but we could get in deeper on that topic for sure. This is state equipment fleet. I mean, for a snow summit, flooding or breakup is an appropriate place to
We
talk
have
about
a,
it, so.
we do have,
Yeah.
yeah, we have a, our drone team folks are actually right now streaming live and. Flooding support.
Performance targets. There are some people who enjoy that and other people who go to sleep. Certainly Jason in the back could talk about, I mean, they are tracking performance targets and we internally do look at those. So that's a subject we absolutely could touch on. Yeah. Road traction. All right, time to get a demo. I like it.
Is that our last time? Okay, so I'll leave that up, so if you wanna keep adding or add more stuff, and before Andy really closes us out, there is one other fun announcement that we wanted to make here, and, if you've been around for a couple years, you may have seen other DOTs do this, we've done it for a few years. We did it in 2018 in Fairbanks, it was super fun, Name the Plow contest. In 2018, we had our tow plows. We just got them kind of, right?
Really do, yes.
Fairly new tow plows. And so in an effort for us to be doing some education about to kiddos or just people, like what are these things? We did a name the plow contest and the kindergarten class of Denali Elementary School named them Jack and Jill Frost. And so if you see them around town, our sign shop, they made signs, so they're on there. My kids still roll down the window and look at them and it's a really nice, it's a nice thing that we did, in Fairbanks. Since then, we've kind of cruised around the state. So we have, done Name the Plow in Juneau. We've done it in Anchorage.
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader made it. Yep, so that one's cruising around Juneau. Or no, that one's in Central. Yeah, Anchorage, yes. What was the Juneau?
Saltosaurus Rex. Terminator. Wow. And Cuplout, right?
And so, this year we're excited that we're, gonna be highlighting Thompson Pass Crew. I saw someone put Avalanche up there. You know, this crew's been doing a lot. They do a lot, not has been. They always do a lot. And they're really great. They're just an incredible group of people out there, doing work that is, I mean, you can't even understand the work that they do. It's pretty phenomenal. So what we want to do is highlight their efforts, kind of tell their story like we did when we were doing the tow plow education. We're going to be sharing some stuff on Thompson Pass, and launching today, Name the Plow contest, for that particular.
I mean, Thompson Pass, it was before my time, but wasn't Damalanche? Wasn't that the name they gave? They don't normally name an avalanche. That's how big of an avalanche that was. It got a name. Right, so Thompson Pass, that's a serious country to do work, and so. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, these are always, fun, but we do have to filter some of them out, to get a little too creative.
We do follow best practices by other DOTs, so all the comms folks at other DOTs, we kind of coordinate together and we've created some best practices, but yeah, we get some really interesting ones that we don't. I'll put it on the side of our space.
So
yeah.
we're at time and we'll close out. Obviously, this was a sampling of a bit of an update, and the commitment is to every year have something either online or in person. I think we're rotating through. So we'll look to do another one next year. And obviously, we present in front of the legislature all the time. All the time meeting. There's a few in the interim and then during legislative session. So there will be follow-ups to this in the legislative session, and we will touch on how are we doing and how well did we do when we get into the January to May timeframe, so. And it's not responding, so apparently we did good. Okay. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.